Hi guys, I'm going to give you my top 5 tips on free motion quilting on your baby lock soprano. Now I created this video because one of my subscribers asked me to. Take a look at this comment. Firstly, Colleen, thank you very much for your comment, and it reads, could you do something on setting up the soprano for free motion quilting? There are a couple of settings I'd like to see. Let me know if I've missed anything, Colleen, in the comments down below. Hello, I'm Cassie and I'm from Faodail Creation, and I create videos every single Wednesday on how to use your sewing machine and simple sewing tips and tricks. In this video, we are obviously going to free motion quilt, so let's get to it. I have 5 tips, so my first one is going to be about setup. So let's turn on our baby lock soprano. Let's first concentrate on the menu settings. First of all, we're going to press this button here and you're going to scroll down. And on page 6, we're going to turn free motion to on, which is this button here. So now we are set to free motion on, and we're going to hit OK. The next thing we are going to do is take this off here because we're going to use our table anyway. So take this right off. Now we have turned the whole machine all the way around, and on the back of the machine is this switch here, which lowers your feed dogs, which are these guys here that usually drag the fabric through. We want to push this over, drop the feed dogs, because we don't want this interfering with our free motion quilting. While I have the machine turned around like this, we want to take our regular foot off. The whole unit needs to come off because we need to put our free motion foot on. Your machine came with a foot that looks like this. It has a spring on it and it's the free motion foot. Here's another angle of it so you can see what it looks like. I recommend getting the tool that looks like this out, and we'll start to attach this foot onto our machine. This is our regular foot. We are going to take this off. You should be able just to slightly unscrew it, leave the screw on, get your other foot, and you just hook that right on its place and screw it back on. Just make sure that it's tight. I have my bobbin already wound in my case down there. Now I choose to have my thread stood separately on a freestanding stand and not actually in my machine. So as you can see here, I have no thread, it's just over there stood next to my machine. Tip 2 is what you're going to need to use for free motion quilting. Now I'm using a fine thread and I've just got a regular 9014 Microtex needle in my machine. However, if you're using a thicker thread, you may need a bigger needle. And some threads will recommend that you use a bigger needle, like this one says 9100 top stitch needle. Your machine came with this extra table, so now is the time to be putting this on, and it just snaps into place. Now this is optional, but I'll let you know the benefits of using it. This here is a Teflon mat, and it helps to glide your fabric about rather than it sticking onto this surface here, and it has a hole in it, so this hole goes right under where your needle is, and I'll just place mine on. It has like a sticky side on the other side. Sometimes it does come loose over time, but it's fine. You just re-stick it back down. So I'm just going to show you how this goes on. You just need to make sure that it's just away from the needle going up and down. Like so, everything is just out of the way here. Another thing that I personally like to use is quilting gloves. They've just got grips on the end of the fingers and help you just to move that fabric about a little bit easier. Tip 3 is to start small. Try on something like a coaster or something. Don't try and go big on a quilt on your first attempt. Always go small. So I'm going to show you in a little piece of scrap like this. I've got my top part, which is cotton, right sides up. I've got my batting, which is I think it may be a bamboo. And then I've got my second layer of cotton. So you're making a sandwich. So you want the right side to be facing outward. You are going to quilt exactly how you see it. Now, if you are quilting a bigger section, obviously this is tiny and doesn't need basting, you are going to need some adhesive spray like this. And if you're doing a bigger quilt, you're also going to have to use some safety pins to pin all them sections down. But for this example, we're just going to use this little piece of fabric. Tip number 4 was all about relaxing. So you're really going to have to loosen up your shoulders. Don't be tense. Just try and shake it out and just go for it. You have to have no fear. Just go ahead and free motion. It may be good, it may not be good. Who cares? You have to start somewhere and just go with the flow. My personal opinion about free motion quilting is I think it's really individual, and I really think it's just like handwriting. My handwriting looks absolutely nothing like your handwriting. So look at a basic free motion pattern and just go with it. And tip 5 is just to start with a basic design, just like a Miranda. So now that we have everything in place, we can start. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do a basic Miranda. I haven't changed any of my stitch lengths. I've kept the speed down to like a medium setting. Your free motion may be different to my free motion. It's all about how fast you move your hands to how fast the needle is going up and down. So you may have to change your speed dial up, or you may have to change the speed dial down in order to figure out what speed you prefer to free motion quilt on. So I'm going to start like right at the side here. So I'm trying to give you the best angle possible so you can see what I'm doing here. But just think of a river. Just think of a river and how the path of the river is going to flow. So I'm going to put my presser foot down. I'm going to keep my needle down at all times. Needle has to be in the down position. And I'm just going to press my presser foot and I'm going to create a little river going around this cotton fabric. So we're just going to keep curving around. Like so. Just remember, just always stop with the needle down. You may have to stop for a fraction of a second because that needle is going to not, you're going to lift your presser foot up and your needle's going to be slightly still going. So just make sure that everything comes to a complete stop before you carry on again, because you're going to be a little bit jittery and it's okay to stop and start. Don't think you can't do that. You can. You can stop and start. So let's keep going here. They just say just make sure that you don't cross over any of the lines anywhere. So just keep going. Just Miranda, you're creating a little river here. See this little river going through my fabric? So let's just keep going. I'm trying to watch the placement of my hands because you guys need to see it on the video. But I also recommend that you do this with music. See how I got this quartz here in the fabric section? Just lift up your presser foot and put it back down. Problem solved. Don't worry about anything. But the one thing I highly recommend is you listen to some music while you're doing this, because it just helps you forget about what you're doing. See here how I met these two lines together? So what? You know, who cares? So let's just keep going. The thing is that we're creating, like we're doing this all right now with our just regular Baby Lock Soprano sewing machine. We're not doing it with the long arm, and it's just so liberating when you can do this on your own without having to use a template, because when you get good at your curves you can then move on to other things. And guys, if you have any questions for me, please leave them in the comments down below. I would be happy to answer them for you. And just stop. You can also pivot your work if you want. Just move it about. Don't have any fear. Just get on and do the design. There we go. And I'm just going to wend it over onto the batten over here. Believe me, unpicking this stuff, that it's not going to fall out on you. I've had to unpick a whole entire quilt myself. Well, not myself, I had help. And it wasn't a good experience. This video was created because one of you asked me to, and if you've got any recommendations on what you would like to see next, please leave it in the comments down below. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss seeing me next week. Bye guys.